Joining us now by Zoom, Lawrence Levy. He's the Executive Dean of Hofstra University's National Center for Suburban Studies.
Also spent many years as a journalist covering Long Island politics. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning to you.
So glad you could join us today. So how did Santos, many are asking, even get elected in the first place?
Well, what happened in 2022, his election really started in 2020 and 2021. In 2020, he ran for the first time against strong incumbent Tom Suozzi, who, went on to run for governor. And Santos lost by 12 points in a district that Joe Biden won by only 8 points. In 2021, you had our own little red wave in the area where, particularly on Long Island, Republicans campaigning on law and order and inflation and taxes in 2021 were able to sweep Republican seats, Democratic seats. The voters who were steeped in a campaign about fear and reality of crime and again, high taxes, some of the highest in the country, were primed for 2022. And that campaign that Santos and a number of other Republicans were able to bring did very, very well. So you had an electorate that was really primed to not look at any particular candidate. They were going out to punish Democrats, and if the byproduct was rewarding Republicans, even those that they didn't know much about, they were going to do that. So the bottom line is that nobody, not Republicans, not Democrats, not the media, really took this race seriously. They didn't do as deep a vetting as they might have done, but in today's environment, that happens when a reporter has 9 races to cover, and a candidate thinks that they're going to win by 8 or 12 points. You put your money someplace else.
But they obviously didn't really need to do much vetting because, the guy's lying about things about his education and where he worked. That doesn't take much investigating. With that being said, he's expected to be sworn in today. Are there going to be any consequences, or is this just another politician who can lie and just basically get away with it? What can his colleagues do to him in the House?
Yeah, one of the things that this story has done is increased public cynicism about politicians. And the reality is, I've covered, you mentioned that I wrote about politics for a long time. I've covered politics all over the country for 40, 45 years, and I've never seen anything quite like this. There are lies, and then there are strings of lies, and this is just one after another that basically went unvetted because he never ran in a race that anybody thought he had any remote chance of winning.
And CBS News has confirmed Santos is being investigated by local and federal authorities. What could happen next if he is criminally charged?
Well, the House Ethics Committee is almost certainly going to conduct some investigation because Long Island Republicans, particularly 2 members of Congress, are calling for it. And, this has damaged the Republican brand as well as the Democratic brand. The Republicans are concerned about the blowback locally and perhaps in other areas. You're going to see phrases like being Santosed bandied about over the next year. And the Republicans would like him to go away as well, except until he gets to vote for Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. McCarthy needs his vote. After that, I don't know that he'll need Santos. And I know people say the majority is only particularly thin, but the difference between 5 and 6 is not that great when it comes to the greater problems that somebody like Santos presents for you when you're going after Democrats.
So let's talk about Kevin McCarthy as we switch gears off of Santos here, for he's got his own problems he'll have to deal with. Kevin McCarthy looking to become the next speaker, but as you just mentioned, it's not a sure thing. We're hearing about a late-night meeting last night in hopes of securing some more support, even making concessions, basically capitulating to some of the Republican House members that he's going to have to basically gain favor with. What's at stake here, and where do you think this stands today when they vote?
What's at stake for the Republican Party is the brand. McCarthy is certainly not a moderate by most definitions, but compared to his caucus, he is more moderate than the dozen or so Republicans who are leading the charge to keep him from becoming Speaker. So there's also the image of a party that has its act together. that it's cohesive, that it can get work done. If all the public sees on a day that the public is paying attention, and the relatively few days that the public collectively does, it's not a good look for the Republican Party.
And Larry, there is news on the Democratic side. New York Congressman Hakeem Jeffries will now be his party's leader in the House. What's on the Democrats' agenda?
Well, the Democrat agenda is to make sure that they don't make any mistakes over the next year, and that they can figure out a way to get things done even in the minority, so that as they approach the 2024 campaign season, I know we're just finishing with 2022, that they look like a party that knows what to do, that knows how to get the so-called people's work done. And that's what they're going to try to do. Hakeem Jeffries, this is an historic moment. It's another thing that George Santos has helped obscure. This is, the first black person to lead a major party in Congress, and that's quite a milestone. And Jeffries is also in a pretty strong position. Being down a handful of seats with a number of Republicans who had near-death experiences in the election, particularly in moderate swing suburbs, Jeffries may be in a position to be able to recruit, not to become Democrats, but recruit 5 or 6 or 8 Republicans to back bipartisan legislation. So if he plays his so-called political cards right, Hakeem Jeffries, as a minority leader, will be able to get more done than even the House Speaker.
All right, Lawrence Levy, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hofstra University Executive Dean. Always good to talk with you, Larry. Thank you.